Mega Banette is one of the least popular Mega Evolutions in competitive Pokemon Champions VGC, sporting a really low overall win rate as well. So when I saw that a team featuring Mega Banette finished in Champion tier at the end of the first ranked season of Regulation MB, I knew that I had to try it out. The idea behind the team is that you've got Mega Banette with its Prankster. With this, you're able to go for Swagger onto Lumberry Sneasler, which gives it a +2 attack boost. The Lumberry gets rid of the confusion, and then Unburden activates on Sneasler, allowing it to basically outpace any Pokemon in the format. With this duo, the Sneasler is able to threaten a lot of quick one-hit knockouts on turn 1, and Mega Banette also gets a pretty unique toolkit. Gets access to Poltergeist, which is an incredibly powerful attack, and also can take care of opposing threats using Destiny Bond, as Banette is able to feint. With this team, the idea is that Sneasler and Banette can pick up some quick knockouts with the Swagger combination as well as Destiny Bond, and Politoed can often end the game immediately afterwards with the Perish Song. So today we'll be showcasing the team and showcasing how Mega Banette actually has viability if you're able to use it properly. Aaron CybertronVGC here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the Pokemon Champions VGC ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Really excited to showcase this duo, and Mega Banette in particular today. I've been featuring some more off-meta Mega Evolutions recently, including a team with Gallade as well as Altaria. So if you haven't seen those, I'll link them down in the description below, but it's been really fun to showcase how really niche Mega Evolutions can still work in this format. Also, it's the week of the Pokemon World Championships. I will be commentating this year, and I'm really excited for it. So lots of exciting stuff happening, and I can't wait to see how the World Championships play out this year, especially with it being the 30th anniversary, and of course, our very first Worlds in Pokemon Champions. Anyway, as always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you're interested in just the battles, check out the timestamps down below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. Anyway, let's get started. If you're interested in trying out the team, the Replica ID is on the screen, and there's also an accompanying Pokepaste down in the description below. As mentioned, this is a team that heavily centers around the combination of Mega Banette and Sneasler. One of the really cool things about Banette, by the way, is that you have Frisk as your ability before Mega Evolving, so in the closed team sheet environment in best of 1 ladder, it actually gives you a lot of value because you're going to lead it and just get knowledge of your opponent's items, right? And that can help out on where random choice scarfs are or random focus ashes, for example. And so you get a lot of value out of it. You're basically going to Mega Evolve it immediately, but with that Frisk first, it gives you some important information. The idea is, of course, to go with Banette and Sneasler, and the main thing to note about Sneasler here is that it does not have Dire Claw. Instead, you have Throat Chop, Close Combat, Rock Slide, and Protect. Now, you can fit Dire Claw onto the moveset potentially over Throat Chop, but that Throat Chop is going to be so important in getting one-hit knockouts onto Ghost types. For example, Sinistcha, Basculegion, Golden Go are all really popular, so being able to threaten all of those is huge. Rock Slide is also really nice because, of course, it allows you to threaten Charizard, which, of course, is one of the most common Pokemon and Mega Evolutions in the format. And Protect is really valuable just in situations where you might want to actually get an attack off with Banette first and then, attack with Sneasler afterwards. Or maybe after you've gotten a knockout, your opponent brings something like a threaten Sneasler, you can protect it and maybe switch Banette out, for example. And so it is a weird set when you don't see Dire Claw, but I actually think it makes a lot of sense. It just means that, of course, you're going to be a little bit weaker into fairy types, but the team does have a Corviknight, which can wall opposing fairy types. Banette, as mentioned, has Poltergeist, Trick Room, Destiny Bond, and Swagger. Trick Room is, I think, the move that maybe feels most replaceable, but can help out against opposing teams with Trick Room if they set it up, or you can even angle to set up your own Trick Room because the rest of the team is actually relatively slow once Sneasler has fainted. Otherwise, though, Poltergeist actually just does a ton of damage, even without any attack investment on Banette. Often will be able to two-shot most common Pokemon, and Destiny Bond is really valuable in allowing for these endgames with Politoed and Perish Song. Politoed here is going to be Perish Song, Hypnosis, Weather Ball. Hypnosis, of course, also not a very consistent or reliable move at 60% accuracy, but can often bail you out of tricky situations, especially in Perish endgames. You don't really need the damage on Politoed because it's going to come from Sneasler and Banette, and so the idea is for it to play a more supportive role. Corviknight here has Iron Defense, Body Press. It has a pretty interesting item in Bright Powder. You can try to use another item, but the reality is that like Citrus Berry and Leftovers are both taken up on this team, and so Bright Powder is obviously not the most reliable item, but just one like can bail you out of tricky situations. Otherwise, you can consider a type resist berry like an Occa Berry, for example, or a Wakam Berry, but those also honestly don't come up very frequently, so Bright Powder just gives you something that can come out in any matchup. The idea otherwise is to, of course, go for Iron Defense and Body Press into physically oriented teams, and Corviknight often becomes a win condition in itself in end games. Archaludon here is going to be your standard set, but with Snarl over Dragon Pulse. Snarl just gives you a lot more survivability into specially oriented teams and also allows Politoed to end games with Perish Song more easily, and Sylveon here is going to be a classic Fairy Feather set with Hyper Beam, Hyper Voice, and Quick Attack. In terms of the spreads, one quick note here, Corviknight's missing 1 point on the Replica ID, so feel free to just give it 1 point in really anything that you want. For Sneasler, the idea is to just be max attack and max speed. You want to outpace everything. Banette's basically max HP near max defense, and the idea behind this is to be able to survive physical attacks like King Gambit, Kowtow Cleave, for example, quite nicely. Otherwise, you've got a ton of bulk across the board. Our Chaladon is a pretty classically, like near max special defense set here with 2 points of speed to outspeed opposing our Chaladons with no speed investment. Politoed here is a mix between special defense and defense. As you can see, min speed on Politoed, Banette, and Sylveon as well, which is why you can potentially Trick Room with Banette in the mid game if Sneasler is fainted. Sylveon's quite physically bulky here, but is also max special attack. So keep in that mind, it's not those sets that are just like tons of HP and defense, and so it will take physical attacks a little bit less better, but still has a lot of overall bulk. And then Corviknight here is actually very specially defensive here, mainly because its base defense is naturally quite solid here. And so this allows Corviknight to hang around for longer just in general. Overall, though, the team has a lot of bulk outside of Sneasler, so the idea is let's use Sneasler to get a quick knockout, and then let's try to outbulk our opponent and also end the game with Perish Song. In terms of how to play with the team, first of all, the team creator wrote an amazing team report for this, so please go check it out. I've linked it down in the description below. Gives a ton of insight on how the team was built, actually offers a bunch of alternative versions as well, including one with Sash King Gambit over Corviknight, and talks about how you can approach different matchups. One thing that I really like about this team is that you basically can lead Sneasler and Mega Banette in any matchup, and so it reduces the amount of complexity in team preview because you could go with Sneasler, Banette, and Politoed as a trio, and that will come out in almost every game. Then the fourth slot often will be flexed depending on what your opponent has. And so, for example, our Chaladon is going to be a really strong Pokemon into Charizard-based teams. Often into Charizard, you can actually try to snipe it off immediately with Banette and Sneasler with the Swagger combination. But for example, if your opponent decides to have Charizard in the back, the Sneasler often can pick some quick knockouts on its partners, and then you can ideally win the Weather War because you'll often go up in Pokemon. And of course, a Charizard in the rain is really going to struggle into our Chaladon. You can also consider Corviknight into teams with Floette or Megastaraptor, for example. The idea behind this is that, once again, the Sneasler can get quick knockouts, and then Corviknight can often wall these Mega Evolutions in the mid to end game, especially if it gets an Iron defense up against physical-based Megas like Staraptor, for example. The overall idea behind the team in most matchups, though, is that you want to just get the Swagger combination off on turn 1, Sneasler gets a big knockout, then on turn 2, ideally Sneasler either gets another knockout or Banette takes a Pokemon out with it through Destiny Bond, and then Politoed comes in and clicks Perish Song. That fourth Pokemon normally will be used to basically patch the matchup depending on what you are going up against. Sylveon, of course, is also a viable bring, and I think like this is a strong Pokemon into slower paced teams with Trick Room, especially because Sylveon itself is actually quite slow paced as well, and it also can be a valuable pick into teams with Mega Raichu or Mega Staraptor, for example, because it doesn't take that much damage from either of those Mega Evolutions and can threaten with a lot of damage in return. One of the only times you might want to consider deviating your lead, though, is potentially dropping Sneasler in the early game and going with something like Banette and Sylveon. This is a combination that you could potentially bring into Trick Room teams, for example. You get a lot of offensive pressure with Poltergeist as well as Hyper Voice, and Banette has Trick Room itself, and so it can also potentially reverse the Trick Room depending on the situation. You can still bring Sneasler in the back, of course. I think that last slot can be flexed, and you don't necessarily have to force Sneasler out in every game. And of course, if you lead Banette but don't have Sneasler out next to it, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to find the position to actually get a Swagger off into Sneasler, and if the Sneasler is not at +2, it definitely feels less threatening. Still can threaten with a lot of damage, obviously, but it actually just doesn't have a viable item on it if the Banette has fainted, right? And so that's something you have to keep in mind. But overall, the team, I think, is really fun, and you can lead Sneasler Banette in basically, I would say, 90+% of games with Politoed in the back, and then you just figure out which one of Sylveon, Corviknight, or our Chaladon that you want to bring. As always, these are not fully exhaustive, but I think cover most of the ways that you might want to play with the team. In terms of weaknesses and things to watch out for, the number one thing to call out is that the core strategy of the team has variance with it. Swagger is only 85% accurate. You're welcome, by the way. And you are going to miss it occasionally, and it feels really bad because, of course, you dedicate a whole turn towards trying to get a knockout with Sneasler, and often, if you miss that Swagger and Sneasler does not secure that one-hit knockout, it often will get KO'd in return, right? So you do have to be very wary of that. It's not the most reliable strategy overall. It's a really fun one, but you are going to miss 15% of the time, and that's just a reality of using this combination. The team also has less overall flexibility because you rely on leading Banette and Sneasler a lot, and so it makes it easier from a team preview perspective, but it means that if your opponent has seen this, they can counter it a little bit more easily. For example, some counterplay against this duo include leading with redirection. Something like Sinistcha, for example, can immediately redirect that swagger away, and while the Sneasler has Throat Chop, you basically have to double up onto Sinistcha if you want to get a knockout onto it with the Throat Chop and Poltergeist, and so it means that you can't go for swagger immediately, and that feels really bad. Focus Sash Pokemon are also quite powerful in that they can survive a big attack, obviously, from the Sneasler and retaliate back with a knockout, right? Something like Focus Sash Basculegion is a great example. You can also just lead two Pokemon that threaten a one-hit knockout onto Sneasler immediately, right? So, for example, Farigiraf plus Basculegion. Suddenly, you have two Pokemon that immediately threaten that one-hit KO with something like a Liquidation plus a Psychic. And so Sneasler then has to either pick which one of the two it wants to knock out, or maybe you consider going for something like a Protect and then a Poltergeist from the Banette. But basically, if there's two Pokemon that can both threaten Sneasler for a knockout, it suddenly becomes a lot harder for the strategy to really pop off. For individual weaknesses, Banette really hates going up against opposing Ghost, Dark, or Normal types. Ghost types you can at least hit with Poltergeist, so it's a little bit less scary, but I think Dark and Normal types in particular mean that you basically do no damage into them. And of course, the Sneasler pressures them a ton with offensive damage, which is why this duel works really well, but you have to be careful still about how you position against it. For Sneasler, note that you don't have Dire Claw, you don't have Fake Out, and you also don't have Bulk, right? So those are all things that your opponents can take advantage of. Any super effective hit onto it often will be enough to just get a one-hit knockout onto it. Corviknight really doesn't like going up against special damage, and Golden Go with Nasty Plot is probably the #1 Pokemon that you can have into it because it can just freely set up. Politoed really struggles against grass and electric type damage, and also just doesn't have that much damage outside of rain boosted weather balls, and so anything that resists water type damage is something that can potentially take advantage of Politoed. Our Chaladon here has Snarl over Dragon Pulse, and so that's something that you can potentially take advantage of, and obviously this Pokemon takes a little bit of time to start stacking up with Electro Shot as well, so keep that in mind. And Sylveon on this team is going to be quite slow, right? It is a slower base Sylveon, and so you don't have really the best speed control for it, other than potentially setting up your own Trick Room, and it really doesn't like going against Poison, Steel, or Fire types. So finally, some watchouts. I think, as mentioned, the team relies quite heavily on leading Banette and Sneasler, so yeah, if your opponent knows the strategy, they can counter it accordingly. It won't mean that you'll just lose off the lead, but it means that you'll have to play a little bit more creatively rather than just going for swagger into your damage right away. And opponents can also play around Destiny Bond on Banette in particular, so keep that in mind. As always, these weaknesses are not exhaustive, but some main ones from my personal experience while trying out the team.
Charizard, Floette, Garchomp, Incineroar, Basculegion, Whimsicott. I think Banette Sneasler feels pretty clear to me here. Corviknight walls the Floette. We have enough anti-Basculegion, I think. Politoed for sure. I think it really could be any of our three. Probably lean most towards Corviknight, just because it gives me an answer for Garchomp and Floette. Sneasler, if we hit Swagger, should be really good here, because it basically negates the Tailwind on the opposing end. Okay, Whimsicott, Basculegion. Scarf, no Polyforb. Okay, that's really big, because what this means is I can just Mega Evolve, Swagger, and Throat Chop. Sneasler having Throat Chop is so important in hitting Ghost types and being able to surprise KO things like Basculegion, as well as Golden Go. Okay, might be a double Protect on turn 1, but that would be fine. Okay, nice. So, Unburden active now. Lumberry activates. We should just get a one-hit knockout onto the Basculegion. Nice. Okay, so now our goal is to just get one more KO, because then Politoed can just come in and click Perish Song. Garchomp comes in. You could Tailwind or you could Encore. You can't do both. I don't want my targeting to get randomly selected here. So not a Throat Chop and... Yep, they're going to Encore us. Cool. That's fine. Throat Chop and Poltergeist into Garchomp and try to just knock that out. 51% just from Throat Chop. Stomping Tantrum is fine. Sneasler has done his job, which is just eliminating the Pokemon and doing a lot of damage as well. Poltergeist into Garchomp. Beautiful. That's 2 KOs. So that now opens the door for Perish Song. The main question, though, is whether or not Charizard's in the back. I'd bring Floette if I were them, but let's see. Even if it is Charizard, it is. Should still be fine. Yeah, we're quite specially defensive here. I don't mind going for... Poltergeist. Don't want a Poltergeist or Trick Room is the thing. I don't mind Poltergeisting Whimsicott, Perish Song. And they Protect, okay. Kind of surprised to see Protect there. I think they were just like, I want to get damage on the board. But now I get Perish Song off. And with Perish alone, that should be enough to win the game. Banette did so much damage there. I think they were hoping for me to switch Politoed out into my final Pokemon. And basically say I'm going to win the Weather War that way. But now I think the game is just over. And I was basically like, even if you Mega Evolve in Solar Beam, I still get the Perish Song off. So, yeah, they end up forfeiting. But basically, this game got to showcase everything that this team wants to do, right? You want to Swagger into Sneasler, get a surprise KO. You want to use Poltergeist for damage as well. We didn't get to use Destiny Bond, which is one of the other really cool tools to get another knockout. But basically, from the way that played that last turn, I was just going to switch the Politoed out into Corviknight and then Destiny Bond with the Banette. And if Charizard, Mega Evolves and attacks, well, then we just take the Charizard down with us. And they'll probably want to Encore into Politoed. And if they Mega Evolve with the Charizard, then we win the Weather War. Politoed comes back in, and Perish just counts down. So, yeah. That game got to highlight so many different things, though, which one, including like the Swagger combination. And then two, Banette just dealing massive amounts of damage. And, of course, setting up Politoed for Perish.
By the way, if you've been enjoying the video, it would really mean a lot to me if you considered leaving a like on the video or subscribing to the channel. I put a lot of time and effort into making these videos, from finding the teams to learning how to play them, and of course breaking them down for all of you, and so your support means the world to me. Sneak peek at a couple of videos coming up. We're going to be featuring Mega Charizard X as well as Mega Venusaur. Haven't featured Mega Charizard X at all in Champions yet, so really excited to give it a shot. And Glaceon is actually one of my favorite Pokemon and favorite evolutions, and so really excited to showcase that one as well. It, of course, is also the week of the World Championships, and so I'll be commentating Pokemon Worlds, and so hope you can tune into the live stream. Really excited to commentate on the 30th anniversary and, of course, the very first World Championship in Pokemon Champions. Anyway, thanks so much as always for your support.
Haven't seen this one in a while. We've got Sand here with Golden Go. I featured this team on the channel a while back if you want to see me play with it. The main interesting thing is Sneasler having Throat Chop, which combos really nicely into Golden Go. So Banette, Sneasler, Corviknight, Politoed generally feels right here. The main argument for our Chowdong would be to have more burst damage into my Lodic with Electro Shot. And you can make an argument for Sylveon if you think one of Golden Go or Excadrill, or ideally both, are getting dropped. But part of what makes playing with this team fun and a little bit less stressful is that in team preview, you almost always go with Banette Sneasler. It's just such a consistent lead. And then you build around that lead rather than having to figure what your perfect combination of 4 is and what to lead with. My ideal would be let they lead with like the Golden Go. Golden Go T-Tar would be my dream, because then I think T-Tar would feel scared by Sneasler, and I could just swagger, throat chop, KO Golden Goal. But I think the matchup against Golden Go here very much will be, can I get a big throat chop or Poltergeist into it? Golden Go Sinistcha. Okay. I was going to say I'm okay with that. The only downside here is... Very. Do they Rage Powder turn 1? Because if so, it's better to just Poltergeist. I could Rock Slide, honestly. But I think I'm done to Throat Chop and Poltergeist Golden Gold turn 1. Worst case would be Sinistcha Rage Powder, Golden Go just click Shadow Ball into Mega Banette and one-shots. The thing with Golden Go on these teams is that you normally actually have almost no special attack investment, and the idea is to be super bulky to set up. Sinistcha pivots into T-Tar, okay. Not what I expected, honestly. This meant Swagger Throat Chop probably was just a game-winning move on turn 1, but I think respecting Rage Powder is fair in that position. So we get Throat Chop off. See if they Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball, make it rain. It is going to be Shadow Ball, okay. And it does one-shot Banette, unfortunately. But this now means a free switch it into Corviknight. Yeah. The thing with Corviknight in right now is if I'm my opponent, I'm protecting Golden Go, switching Tyranitar out into Sinistcha. It's a free Iron Defense if I want it. But I actually think I lean towards Brave Bird and Throat Chop into the T-Tar slot. Yep, they swap. Sinistcha in. Cool. Main annoying thing is with Banette, I could have gone for a Destiny Bond immediately to just trade. The other big question is Excadrill their final Pokemon? Ah, Sinistcha doesn't Faint from Sand. That would have been really nice. So close. If I were them, I would try to target Sneasler down right now. Leaning towards Iron Defense and Protect. Because I think you Rage Powder with Sinistcha here. I think the main thing that felt bad about this game is not getting any value out of Banette, and it showcases how Banette can still get one shot in this format, right? Especially because we're very physically bulky, not specially bulky. And the Sinistcha deterred me from clicking Swagger on turn 1 because I didn't want to just waste a turn and have them Rage Powder my Swagger away. They could Nasty Plot here, which would be a pretty sick play. Like, if you Nasty Plot and you have Excadrill in the back, that's actually checkmate, basically. Okay, make it rain. Sweet. That's good. So now another Throat Chop. We'll definitely KO Golden Go. T-Tar we don't have to worry about. Could be Staraptor in the back for them. Sinistcha faints. you have Excadrill, it makes sense. Yeah. So they bring Excadrill out. This is interesting. One play I could make is actually switch Corviknight out into Politoed, but it would give up my boosts. We need Sneasler to basically beat Golden Go, right? So like high horsepower into Sneasler makes sense right now. I'm leaning towards going for Roost and switching Politoed in here. But the other play I thought about was swap Corviknight out and get the knockout into Golden Go. Yeah, it's high horsepower, does less than half. Nasty Plot brings them back to neutral. We'll Roost here. I really want to knock out Golden Go. I'm going to double up into it here. If Golden Go faints, Corviknight should be able to beat T-Tar Excadrill thanks to the +2 defense and body press. I should go for Rock Slide, but miss on Corviknight. That's where Bright Powder, honestly, can go a long way. Crits Politoed. Shadow Ball to Politoed, okay. That doesn't KO us. Nice. Huge. Brave Bird. One more Brave Bird, now we'll KO. Do they flinch us is the main question. Sweet, they don't. Yeah, I think high horsepower Shadow Ball would have been better for them, but they may have been worried about Politoed protecting in that position. And now with Golden Go gone, Corviknight should just win. So I think this game was valuable in highlighting how you don't need Banette to like carry the game, right? We were actually starting pretty significantly behind, but ends up being okay. Just think this through. We have Sneasler in the back. I think they'll Rock Slide. Yeah, I'm down to just get another Iron Defense because at this point, and Corviknight will be slower than them, right? So if we... I doubt we ever get the Perish off here, but I'm okay clicking it. Yeah, just going to be double Rock Slide. Their flinch chances are obviously pretty good right now, but they don't get a flinch there, and I think that should be enough for me to win at this point. Like, I'm at +4 defense. Smart of them to hold on to their Mega on T-Tar. Can just body press now. I'm okay protecting this turn. If we had Fake Out here, wouldn't be a bad angle to Fake Out Excadrill and go for another Iron Defense. But this is why Corviknight's on the team, right? It gives you much needed defense in the late game against things like Tyranitar, Excadrill, Staraptor. It's really get into a comp like this. Okay, perfect. A horsepower. They'll probably go for a Rock Slide to flinch us. Yeah. Which is the right move. Like, higher odds of that than, say, knockoff crit. But as you can see, they basically do no damage to Corviknight at this point. They do manage to get the flinch, though. Okay. Still fine. Safer to Roost here, though, I would say. Actually, right now, they only have one shot to flinch us. Like, I'd rather try to just one-shot T-Tar. They could protect Tyranitar now, which would be pretty strong, but they don't. And the thing to think about is because we have Bright Powder here as well, like you could miss Rock Slide at any point, right? And they should go for knockoff. Nice. Yeah, since it's Bright Powder here and not leftovers, I'm very happy about that. +4 body press now, one shots T-Tar, and that should be game over. Iron Defense Body Press Corviknight, probably single-handedly the best Pokemon you can have in the format against Tyranitar Excadrill. But yeah, I think the main thing that felt a little bad in this game is that turn 1. Like, if I just actually self-swagger, we just win immediately. But I think we really have to respect Rage Powder there, right? So I wanted to cover for that. I actually think if they just went Rage Powder plus Shadow Ball, it would have been pretty strong as well. Like, the main thing there is I don't know if they're going to Shadow Ball my Banette because they might predict me to Protect or Switch. They could make it Rain or Nasty Plot, so I wanted to cover for all options. And unfortunately, we lost Banette on turn 1, but it was still fine. Yeah, and at this point, like, they're hoping for multiple flinches into multiple crits. And they get a flinch there, but it's fine. Even if you crit us, the reality is it still doesn't do enough damage. I would be clicking Rock Slide here if I were them. But they're just going to hope to keep flinching with Iron Head. They do get a crit there as well. All right. Oh. It meant I probably should have roosted first on that body press. 30 down to 18. They need 2 more flinches. Okay, nice. Yeah, I think this is one where it's always optimal to body press first. I was just like, your odds of winning are so slim, but you might as well give them even fewer chances to win. And if I, heal back first, then they truly can't do much. But a little dramatic. Flinch into flinch plus crit. Staraptor, Hisuian Zoroark, Ninetales Raichu, Basculegion, King Gambit. So it's super similar to the Staraptor Raichu team I featured, but just with Frigoraph replaced with Ninetales. Banette Sneasler's solid. Kind of utilize Sylveon under Trick Room potentially. Politoed Sylveon maybe. It's slightly weird because they don't have Frigoraph on their team here. Let's see what they go with. Okay, Raichu Gambit. That's fine by me, especially if you are Kowtow, Life Orb. It's Chopal, okay. So you don't one-shot Banette. I think I don't mind going for Swagger into close combat turn 1. Basically, Raichu here can fake out Sneasler, but then King Gambit's not posing that much offensive threat. They also could just Zap Cannon me, but if you Zap Cannon, then Swagger close combat KOs Raichu immediately. Okay. Nice. They don't go for fake out, so we just eliminate Raichu immediately. The main thing here, though, is that Gambit could just Iron Head Sneasler, and with the defense drop, I might get pretty close to getting KO'd. Still a big knockout to take, though. Main thing I'm thinking right now is maybe I wanted Corviknight in the back, because Corviknight with Iron Defense, Body Press, would just wall King Gambit. Nice, they kowtow. Okay, that's huge. And without Life Orb or Black Glasses, not enough to knock out Banette. Basculegion in now. I'm leaning towards Protect Destiny Bond here. This way I get a Scout out for a Protect on either end. And ideally Banette just picks up a KO and then Politoed comes in and clicks Perish Song. I could also see them like protecting King Gambit. Wave Crasher, Last Respect Sneasler. Sneasler will protect. Okay, got Destiny Bond. Will something knock out Banette here? Sucker Punch. The answer is no, but that's fine. If it's Wave Crash, I can throw chop you pretty safely. I'm down to Destiny Bond still, and now reveal throw chop. Their best play would be Protect Basculegion, Ironhead Sneasler with King Gambit. Yep, and we do the Destiny Bond there to get around Sucker Punch, by the way. Perfect. That should be game over. Because I don't want to Trick Room, Poltergeist, or Swagger in that position with Banette. And yeah, this was just Sneasler gets activated and threatens with a one-hit knockout onto every Pokemon, basically. So, did exactly what we wanted it to do. It's been a long time since I've seen this one, but this was one of the popular teams in Regulation MA. And it was actually built by the same player who built the Mega Raichu Mega Staraptor team that is one of the top comps in the format right now. And fun fact, they were also one of the first players that I saw use Mega Banette. They never published their Mega Banette team back in Regulation MA, but definitely one of the strongest team builders in Champions. Scarf Vivian normally on this comp. Scarf Vivian with Fake Out Blastoise is pretty annoying, but if they lock Sleep Powder, we do have Lumberry. I don't love this though. Still feels pretty volatile. Okay. It says I didn't input. I was willing for our child on anyway, so I'm happy with that. But let's see. I don't like this matchup very much. Like, I fear... Oh, they go Kangaskhan Paragraph, actually. Okay. Yeah, it's not that great for me, right? They'll probably Fake Out Sneasler turn 1. I'm actually pretty happy they committed a Kangaskhan here, though. Okay, I'm honestly contemplating Megaing, predicting their Trick Room, bringing Arch in. The problem right now is I can do nothing with Banette. This is the most anti-Banette lead possible. It's two normal types. The other play I thought about was Protect Sneasler, Trick Room, in anticipation of their Trick Room. Ah, nice play. Okay, that was really well done. Now they know I have Trick Room as well, which is not great. Actually, no, they don't. Sorry, I flinched before they moved. I'm leaning towards reversing their Trick Room right now. Going for Snarl. Okay, that's big. Torkoal, nice. Very good turn for us. Okay. We can go to Politoed and Electro Shot now. Preference for the Torkoal slot, I think. Yep, they switch Back into Kangaskhan maybe. Yep. The Snarl actually I think makes a big difference in this matchup, so it's nice to have that tool. But I definitely wanted to get a free special attack boost here, so we'll take that. It's really good damage. And a Psychic. Okay, cool. Should put us in a pretty commanding position right now. I don't want to switch either of these in. I actually... Like, I could switch into Banette here. I'd like the idea of keeping it around, though. Maybe we just try to knock out Kangaskhan here. Weather Ball. Snarl. Yeah, they stay in. They're going to Mega. Could be something like Low Kick / Drain Punch. Yeah. It's not that much damage, though. Cool. It's a lot of damage onto Farigiraf there. Yeah, I think Vivian Blastoise would have been really scary here, so I'm quite happy they didn't go with that. Now we get the knockout onto Kangaskhan. Still have to worry about Torkoal, though, obviously. Oh, they're not even going to Trick Room. Okay. Snarl makes all the difference in this matchup, then. They paralyze me, which actually means if they Trick Room, I get the speed advantage, but... now I have to deal with Paras every turn. Torkoal comes in. Should probably switch out, right? Like, to me, switching into Banette and protecting is fine here. The main thing is if they end up having Earth Power on Torkoal, it's probably more optimal to Snarl here because they could Trick Room Eruption, for example. So I thought about Snarl, Weather Ball into Farigiraf, and I think if I weren't paralyzed, I would have definitely done that. But the idea of getting paralyzed, staying in, and then full para sounds really bad. And like a Torkoal in Rain is just not a real Pokemon. So yeah, they're going to Heat Wave Trick Room here, looks like, but that's fine. Banette even dodges it. Although I wouldn't have minded a free switch in there, truthfully. Should you think about the Destiny Bond angle now? The alternative is what? Just switching Politoed here? Snarl? Feels fine. Normally it's Heat Wave Eruption and Weather Ball and Torkoal, but if they have Earth Power here, could be pretty deadly. Yeah, it's Helping Hand. Eruption, okay. Nice. Another stamina boost. Good. Snarl Arch was actually insane in this game. 3 turns of Trick Room, -3. Basculegion should be their last one. Let's actually think this through. The game's not won yet. But I mean, I don't even think Helping Hand Heat Wave KOs, so I think it's fine to just Snarl Weather Ball here, because I think Torkoal wants to switch. If you switch into Basculegion, okay, yeah, they just Helping Hand Heat Wave maybe, but like I said, I don't think that KOs. Yeah. Yeah, 64 down to 27, that did 37 damage. So I'm glad to showcase how on this team, obviously, like the Sneasler plus the Banette is a really big combo, but Pokemon like Corviknight and Archaladon are really essential in certain matchups as well. Okay. Nice. All right, good job, Archaladon. Very, very strong performance by it here. This is a Mega Glimmora team that I featured on the channel. If you want to see me play with it, video link down below. I think Corviknight should give it a fair bit of trouble, especially if I get to Iron Defense up with it. My preference is Banette, Sneasler, Politoed, Corviknight. And I think the goal, ideally, is to use this Sneasler to just one-shot whatever is in front of us. There's only one Focus Sash, right? And it's on Whimsicott. The initial version of the team had Chople on King Gambit, Life Orb Kommo-O, Scarf Basculegion, and Never Melt Ice on the Yellow and Ninetales, with it being Mega Glim. So one of the nice things is we can use Banette to validate whether or not any items have been swapped. Whimsicott Kommo. Okay. Works for me. Core Poly in the back. I think here I lean towards just, whoops, let's make sure we Mega, Swagger, and Close Combat. I think the main thing to note is Whimsicott being able to Encore us, but once again, if we can just get 2 knockouts in 2 turns, Politoed just comes in and clicks Perish Song. So turn 1, their optimal play would be Protect Kommo-O, Moonblast us. But Whimsicott protects. Yeah, I feel like Whimsicott always protects here. And they always don't end up protecting a partner Pokemon. Like, this just gives us such a huge lead. And that was the whole premise behind this lead. Beautiful. Okay. So once again, main thing to note is that Whimsicott can Encore us next turn. I don't want to select a different move and then have it randomly target. So my preference right now would probably be to double up onto Whimsicott with Close Combat Poltergeist. It's Basculegion. I do have Throat Chop. Yeah, I lean towards doubling on Whimsicott here. Ah, they encored the net. Okay. Swagger misses. We'll bring Whimsicott down to 1. Yeah, Throat Chop would have just won us the game there, but... Okay, Sneasler. This is honestly still pretty awkward, right? Glimmora is their last one. They're locked into last respects right now. I think I'm going to bring in Politoed here. Switch Banette out in a Corv. Switch Banette in a Corv. I can Weather Ball. Or I could Hypnosis. Basically, Hypnosis is like if it hits, it gives us a huge advantage because Whimsicott could also protect right now is the thing. I think the accuracy just feels too shaky. If you watch the WDL semis, you'll know I don't like clicking this move. And actually Tailwind, which is fine by me. Doesn't really get them very far. Last respects into Politoed, okay. So KO Whimsicott. Perish is now on the table. It's not Glamora in the back, it's Ninetales. Whoa. Interesting. We could freeze dry into Politoed. I don't know if that KOs though is the thing. Like I feel like they'll probably double up into something right now. There is also Helping Hand on the Ninetales. I lean towards Iron Defense Perish. Okay, they're splitting their damage. Does freeze dry one-shot us? Oh, they Blizzard. That sucks. Basically, I think if the freeze doesn't happen, what I would do is Destiny Bond. Yeah, now I don't think we have any way to win. I'm going to Destiny Bond Hypnosis, I guess. Oh, that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. But I think my opponent might have still been fine. It would have come down to whether or not Freeze Dry would have KO'd Politoed. I guess we're about to find out. If I get the Perish Song off, basically I would Destiny Bond and Protect, right? Trade Banette for Basculegion. And then there's 2 turns of Perish. Then I need to survive a Freeze Dry, and then I Protect again. Yeah, we had it if we didn't get frozen. That sucks. But that's the game. Yeah, I honestly don't think I would have played it much differently. The main thing was they went for Encore onto Banette rather than Sneasler, and I had Throat Chop, so I could have just won the game immediately by clicking Throat Chop. But I don't regret going for that, mainly because I think Encore, if you Encore into us, and I do get locked into close combat, and it randomly targets Basculegion, that's really terrible for me. And like I said, I had a scenario here where if I don't get frozen, we just get the Perish Song off. So definitely unfortunate, but that's part of the game. And you can see that's why that was the end game I was playing towards. Right? I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm bulky enough here. Like, you can't knock out both my Pokemon. If I get Perish Song off, I should be in a pretty commanding spot to win, especially because I know Politoed's super especially defensive. But that is how things are going to happen sometimes. And we've also been pretty lucky to not miss our own swaggers, right? Like, there's a lot of moves I can miss on this team, whether it be Swagger or Rock Slide and Hypnosis. And so I think, you know, losing one game out of a couple, especially when there's a little bit of variance involved, is not shocking. Meowstic, Staraptor, Arch, Primarina, Hisuian Zoroark, Basculegion. Zoroark scares me a little bit, but Banette should be able to scout for it. I think I'm down for Sneasler, Banette. Corviknight hard wins against Staraptor. The Arch is interesting. Like, I wonder if it's Rain Dance Meowstic. That would make sense to me. They don't have Fairy resistances, so I feel like Sylveon's pretty strong. Just means I'm not playing towards a Perish endgame, but that's fine. What do we think they're going to go with here? Meowstic. Staraptor, Meowstic Arch, Meowstic Primarina, Meowstic Basculegion, Hisuian Zoroark disguised as something. All possible options. Meowstic and Arch. Okay, let's see if either of these are Zoroark potentially. Mentorb, Silk Scarf. Okay. Well, that says it all. My question is whether or not Meowstic has any damaging moves, right? Because if it has Psychic, obviously that's not great for Sneasler. I actually think we can go Protect turn 1, Mega Evolve, Poltergeist. Knowing it's Silk Scarf is good because normally I expect Sash or Scarf on Zoroark. They just Shadow Ball us, that's fine. Okay. Poltergeist. That's annoying. But I think I'm gonna just Swagger Throat Chop here. Try to one-shot the Meowstic. Okay. I guess they Shadow Ball into our Banette again. Taunt. Okay. I'm happy about that. We get an extra attack off, basically. Could be Sturdy Arch, could be Scarf, could have Sash on it. Probably going to angle to swap Banette out, because I think getting a Destiny Bond off with it would be pretty sweet. I don't mind going for a Throat Chop into their Arch here, switching Corviknight in. Without the Rain, Archaludon is not a big threat to Corv, and I can just Iron Defense up on it. Is that the real Archaludon? Nice. And that's what the Sneasler does, right? It just one-shots so many Pokemon. Here I basically was like, the only way I'm really scared of your Archaludon is if you have Draco Meteor. Otherwise, it's fine. And if you Draco, I still knock out Zoroark, and then you're just stuck with -2, right? So, the main thing about not losing against Zoroark is to just not get tricked by it, basically. And I think this game actually highlighted why Banette was really interesting, because it allowed me to scout for it immediately. We are up against what I think is the best Mega Gengar team going into the World Championships. I actually just featured this team on the channel, but it's funny because at the time of recording, I actually haven't uploaded that video yet, but obviously the team is already quite popular, given that one of the world's best players and most prominent content creators, Michael Kelsch, won a Victory Road tournament with it. So the main thing is we have Throat Chop here, which really messes up Gengar. Banette, Sneasler, Corviknight, and Politoed seem fine. Archaludon's actually interesting because of Snarl, I will say. But I don't think I like it enough to bring it. Ideally, we just use Sneasler to get quick knockouts. Like, I think Sneasler's offensive matchup is actually pretty insane here because it's not multi-scale on the Alola Ninetales. Sorry, not the Ninetales, the Dragonite, and it's also not Sash on Ninetales. Dragonite Gengar, I'm fine with that. Okay. Against this, I honestly lean towards just Mega, Swagger into Sneasler, and Rock Slide. So Gengar Mega Evolves. I thought about clicking Throat Chop as well, but the thing is, I don't think Gengar Shadow Ball should one-shot Sneasler, right? And Dragonite's actually a little bit scarier to me. I also think Gengar often protects turn 1 here, so the idea of being able to knock out Dragonite instead is really tempting. Okay, no Protect, which means we could have gone for Throat Chop, but that's fine. Swagger, Rock Slides should knock out Dragonite and do over 50% to Gengar. And gives us a flinch chance. We are going to miss. Okay. Doesn't KO Dragonite either. That is not ideal. Set up Substitute. Dragon Claw. Into Banette, though. Okay. I honestly underestimated Dragonite's bulk there. I really thought we'd one-shot it, but it's probably because it is just max HP, which is fair. I can go for Destiny Bond now. Or Poltergeist Rock Slide. Because they might Extreme Speed, like, double up on a Sneasler. I'd lean Destiny Bond Rock Slide here. Because I think if you're my opponent, Gengar needs to respect Banette's damage, right? I could have protected Sneasler, gone Destiny Bond, which could have been interesting. Yeah, they're going to go for an Extreme Speed. Ideally, we knock out Dragonite here. And they knock out Banette. And then so Destiny Bond gets that KO. The fear here is if Gengar just targets Sneasler instead. Which they might, because it's the bigger threat. If I had hit that initial Rock Slide, I think I would just kick Poltergeist here, but I feel a little behind because I missed. They do double up into Sneasler. Okay, so that one's frustrating because I could have just Poltergeisted Gengar there. I think I'll bring in Corviknight here. They bring in Sneasler, okay. I think I'm down to go for Trick Room here. Brave Bird Sneasler. Their best bet is what? Shadow Ball, Close Combat, Corviknight? No, they're going to Shadow Ball the Banette. Okay. So Banette faints. But we take it down with them. Yeah, that's huge. Maybe Roost would have been better, or not Roost, Iron Defense would have been better here. Because the problem is I don't actually know if I need this damage, right? They're going to be sashed. It's Close Combat, Dire Claw, Rock Slide, Protect on the Sneasler. Let's see what their last one is. It's Ninetales. So I win the Weather War. I'm going to Weather Ball Sneasler here. Roost. It doesn't even KO Corviknight. Did they double up into it? They didn't. Nice. Oh, Corviknight's bulk is so clutch. Again, then I am happy I Brave Birded. So we'll heal all the way back up. And now the Ninetales should just lose against Corviknight. Like, Corviknight's such an incredible late game win con. So even though we missed Rock Slide on Gengar, it was still fine in the game. And the Destiny Bond was a big deal in being able to take care of the Gengar, right? Yeah, and they just end up forfeiting. Cool. Nice. I think the main thing is on turn one, I really thought Rock Slide would do more into Dragonite. Like, it is normally max HP on those Dragonites, and so that, like, makes a big difference, right? Against, like, non-bulky Dragonite, you kind of just get KO'd. But the amount of bulk there allows them to survive. And then, like, I could have gone Throat Chop immediately, especially because they ended up Dragon Clawing to Banette. But I think expecting Dragon Claw on a Sneasler is not crazy, right? We were fortunate Sneasler got multiple hits off in the end, though, so we'll take it. And I also could have like just attacked with Poltergeist on turn 1, for example. I don't regret going Swagger or Rock Slide. But yeah, I think like Gengar getting a free substitute up was definitely pretty scary. Quickly highlight some damage calcs, by the way. So part of the reason why I thought we had a chance to knock out was because I was thinking Adamant +2 Rock Slide, which does have a chance to knock out, but only against non-bulky Dragonite. Against this Dragonite, which is basically max HP, as you can see, with Jolly at +2, Rock Slide does basically right around what we did, which is 70 to 80%. And so, yeah, Dragonite is just a fairly bulky Pokemon, right? Decent base HP at 91 and base defense at 95. And with Sneasler being Jolly rather than Adamant, it does give a fair bit of less damage as well, right? But wanted to pull up this calc because the difference between Jolly and Adamant and then also no HP versus max HP is huge, basically, as you can see. Metagross, Raichu, Corviknight, Meowstic, Arcanine, Milotic. Interesting. Okay, I lean towards Banette, Sneasler. Archaludon here. Politoed. Arch is mainly interesting because it gives me a very nice answer into Corviknight, although I can also just Swagger Close Combat to deal with it. I don't think I love our Corviknight, mainly because I don't... It's actually, in retrospect, not terrible. It's mainly just the Raichu that's really annoying from their end. But it does wall Metagross and Meowstic. But I'm hoping, you know, sometimes the prevalence of a Pokemon like Corviknight in Team Preview should scare them enough from bringing things that have a very bad Corviknight matchup. Corv Milotic. Okay. Akaberry, lefties. This, I think, is self-swagger, close combat. Against Milotic, we just Perish Song it, I think. So our goal is to get 2 quick knockouts. As per usual. We don't miss, which is good. No protect or switches. Should take a Scald even at -1 special defense. It's mainly just burn that's scary. Ooh, that's bad. It is bulky enough to survive. Then the play would have been Poltergeist turn 1 into Swagger. They're going to Feint from Brave Bird, I think, but that's still not the best trade in my opinion. See. Okay. If I go protect Poltergeist, then turn 2 I can just Swagger close combat, and it's basically the same thing, but I don't lose my Sneasler. So I'm bringing in Arch now, but the problem is they can bring in Raichu. It's Arcanine though, interesting. Okay. Excuse me. It's not Intimidate either, which is interesting. I lean towards... So the main thing here is I could switch in Politoed, but I think a Raichu might come out from their end right now. I actually don't hate going for Trick Room here and swapping Politoed in. My dream would be Milotic switches out into Raichu right now, but they might just be staying in. Especially because Milotic's often faster than Arch. They have Snarl. Okay, that's pretty disruptive. Okay, that's fine. Because the thing is, we do a lot of damage with Poltergeist TR. And if I can get one more knockout, I can Perish Song. If I were them, I would protect Arcanine here, so I'm leaning towards Poltergeist, Milotic. And Hypnosis into it. Nice. I could miss, though, so if it happens, it happens. Okay, good job, Politoed. Wish you did that in the WDL semis, but it's okay. And with no Intimidate, they should actually do like 50%, I would think. Oof. Really good damage. Okay, I'm gonna angle to knock out the Arcanine now with the double up. This also covers for a switch into Metagross. My Lodic looks like it was attempting to protect there. That's also why I wanted to double up on Arcanine in case it did get the lucky one-turn wake. So Weather Ball does 80% there. Citrus. No Citrus. Shuka Berry. Okay. Super interesting to see it not run Intimidate, honestly. Let's see what the last one is. Regardless, we can just Perish Song now. Hoping it's Metagross. It's going to be Raichu. 2 turns of Trick Room. Arch is the last one. To be honest, because I think there's 2 turns of Trick Room. I think Poltergeist Perish is fine here. If they protect Raichu, this just instantly wins the game, right? If they attack with Raichu and go for Fake Out, well, we still do a ton of damage into you. Okay, they're going to go for Fake Out. That's fine. And now that you've Mega Evolved, I can Electro Shot my Lodic, right? Which is big. This is such a sick attack. Oh, that's awesome. Banette does not even faint there. Okay. Yeah, and they end up forfeiting. This game showcased how much of an offensive beast Banette can be, to be honest, right? Like, it just did so much damage across the board. Staraptor, Basculegion, Glimmora, Charizard, Whimsicott, Farigiraf. I lean towards Sneasler, Banette. Corviknight, Politoed probably. Arch is bringable because obviously it gives us electric type damage into both Charizard and Staraptor, but I think finding the right position for it is just too tricky. If they didn't have Glimmora, I would think harder about Sylveon, but I think Glimmora plus Charizard is very anti-Sylveon. They'll probably still go yeah, I mean, I guess the question is which Mega they go with, but basically if they go with Staraptor, we have Corviknight. If they go with Charizard, we have Politoed. See what they lead with. Farigiraf, Glimmora. If I'm to be honest, I kind of want to switch Corviknight in turn 1, Mega Poltergeist. I think here I could go Swagger, Throat Chop, and just immediately knock out Farigiraf, but Farigiraf often carries Protect. If they Protect on us, Glimmora can just Earth Power us. That doesn't feel good. And I think Corviknight matches up decently well into these two. It's a question of whether or not they have Thunderbolt on Farigiraf then. But Banette's Poltergeist will do a ton. And then we get to scout out for what they want to do. Ideally, it's Protect Frig turn 1 here. Power Gem, okay. And they targeted Banette, so the self-swagger play would have been sick. We'll do a lot to Glimmora there. I'm sorry, what? Okay. What? There's a lot to process right now. I actually think I'm going to switch back into Sneasler right now and Swagger it. I'm just shook. Okay, they don't protect either once again. It's like frustrating because turn 1, if I just went Swagger, Close Combat, Farigiraf, we would have had such a huge advantage. It's fine. Power Gem KO's Banette. Thunderbolt. What? I have to admit, I am both shook at high horsepower, 2 in their decision to high horsepower a Corviknight, which was pretty offensively matched in that position. Okay, I'm gonna protect Weather Ball here. And ideally get Farigiraf and Rock Slide KO range. And then get a double KO. I just... There's a first time for everything. Like, what? I didn't even know this Pokemon got high horsepower. That is so crazy. Be great to bait out a Protect here. Nope, just Power Gen 3 times in a row. Are they Trick Rooming now? Or not? It's another high horsepower. Okay. I'm happy to just Rock Slide and Weather Ball then. What is going on? Does Farigiraf survive the double up? It might. Which would be very annoying. It's right in the range of getting KO'd by Weather Ball. Okay, nice. I'm still processing the fact that I've seen a Farigiraf click high horsepower 3 times in a row. 1 time into a Corviknight slot. Whimsicott in. Charizard, okay. We're gonna Rock Slide here. And just Weather Ball, I think. Their plays Protect Charizard, Moonblast, Sneasler, but if you do that and we KO Whimsicott, then Charizard has to play a 2v1 into Politoed plus Corviknight. And we have a chance to flinch with Rock Slide and just win off that. I'm sorry, I still... High horsepower Farigiraf. I mean, it did a lot into Sneasler. I'm trying to understand the logic of having it on the moveset over like some of the other moves. And actually Mega. Okay, even better. Now Weather Ball's a Sun or Fire type attack. Are they protecting is the question. Nope. Okay, Unburden just wins then. Unless we miss. Okay. I am still speechless. I'm trying to think like what the tech of high horsepower is for, because obviously Psychic is just better in a Sneasler. Steel types like King Gambit, Incineroar, you get a little bit better coverage into. Yeah. But Sneasler manages to pull it off, and I actually think the biggest dynamic of this matchup was the fact that Politoed was faster than Farigiraf, so that we could Weather Ball and Rock Slide combo it before Farigiraf could get an attack off. But yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much, as always, for joining me. Mega Banette with Sneasler, honestly, a really unique, interesting combination. And it is cool to basically have a team where you can lead the same thing every time. A Mega Banette's toolkit honestly feels quite unique as well in its ability to both deal offense with Poltergeist, even without any attack investment, as well as being able to obviously enable Sneasler and disrupt with Destiny Bond. So my name is CybertronVGC, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.